people that are coming in are looking for a change. They're looking for a transformation. So you're selling them a transformation. What's behind that transformation? It's how they feel about themselves. Look good, feel good. That's true. That's what gets them in the door. But once they're in the door, and now they're introduced to becoming stronger, the feeling of becoming, because how can you sell being strong?
Yeah.
It's like, right? It's like telling somebody, this is the feeling of being wet, but they've never been in water before. They couldn't understand it. So you can't sell that to somebody who's never tasted it. But now they've come in because they want a transformation, and they see, okay, 12 weeks from now, I'm going to look this way. And you have thousands of people that have proved this. And this is a legit program, because you see what's sold on TV, what's sold in the magazines is all a bunch of BS, because they're promising you a quick fix. Hey, take these pills. Oh, do this celebrity workout. In 3 weeks, you're going to look like this. And come on, the consumer is smart. They know that's the same gab all over the place. It's not going to yield a result. With A12, you put in the work. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. But once you do it, you know that after 12 weeks, with thousands of the proof in the pudding is the thousands of transformations that have happened, people going from before to after, every kind of body type, every kind of age group. And the fact that this programming is there, it gives the client confidence that in a start and an end period, I will see this crazy change. Now that's what gets them in the door. But once they're in the door, now they meet this new friend called strength. Mm-hmm. And the strength is far greater than what you look like, because that's the result. But now every day you're walking around, your posture changes, the way you feel changes. You like pick up your kid, throw him in the air. You feel like you can run and sprint, and you have more energy at work. You have more time for your family. Like everything kind of changes. And strength is that, that magical little gift that you get. And now they're introduced to it, and then they're hooked for life. You've transformed them, hooked them on. Mm-hmm. If you were going to say there's a drug that's the best drug you could hook them on, is strength. And now they're hooked. And I think it's a phenomenal program that way, that there's a start and an end. There's a programming that takes people, they get the aesthetic look that they're looking for. They look better than they've ever looked in their lives. But more importantly, on the inside, they feel better than they've ever felt in their lives, because now they're strong, man. Once you're strong and you've tasted strong, you can't go wrong.
This week, I've got none other than Sifu Harinder Singh with me. Harinder, how's it going?
Good, brother. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm pleased to tell you, you won the award for the best background ever.
Thank you.
By a mile, so we'll send that award to you later on in the post. We first met at the certification in St. Louis, Missouri. You attended the certification, and you are a certified Amazing 12 instructor. Tell me a little bit about that. But firstly, your story is just phenomenal. It's just so interesting, from starting out in India and everything that you experienced from coming up to North America. Give me a little bit of an introduction. To those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I was born in India, and then my dad was a sea captain, so we lived like in a merchant ship. He was in the merchant marines, you could think of it that way, on a big cargo ship. He was the captain, and so we sailed around the world for 3 years. And then when I was about 6 years old, we migrated to Canada, and I grew up in Toronto, Canada, until I was about 19 years old. Then I came to California, and I started in martial arts when I was really young. When I was 6 years old, my mom put me into karate, and my dad definitely wanted us to be able to protect ourselves, since he was always traveling. And that was my first exposure into martial arts. And then, I became an instructor and a teacher, and it was a big part of my life. But when I was growing up, I wanted to be a tennis player. I wanted to win Wimbledon. I watched Boris Becker, and that was my main love. And I was always doing martial arts. And so when I was about 19, I got a scholarship to come to the United States, to the University of California in Davis campus, and play tennis. And then I pursued a degree in computer and electrical engineering. And then things started to change when I was about to graduate. We went to a bonfire at a beach, and it's a place we had never been to before, and we came really late. It was myself and about 6 friends of mine. We got there, and there was 100 people at the bonfire, which was about 100 yards away, 100 meters away down. So those people couldn't see us. We were in a parking lot that was elevated. And long story short, it's just like out of a movie. Out of the darkness comes a local gang that think about having no awareness, right? You're down to celebrate. You have no awareness. And I think about it all the time. Like, 25 guys just showed up out of the dark. I mean, how did we not even see them and make adjustments or changes? And my Sifu, my teacher, says, good things happen to you when you least expect. Bad things happen to you when you least expect and you're having a good time. Mm-hmm. So, hey, we crack open a few beers. We graduated. Everybody's guard is down, and these guys come out. They're iced up. They're not with it. They're just looking for someone. They're looking to get into it. And then one of them asks one of the guys to the right of me for a cigarette. And we look over there, and as we look over there, he grabs the guy to the left of me. Apparently, they were looking for somebody, and they were looking for two guys. And my roommate, who was to the left of me, looked like one of them. So they grabbed him, take him to the center, start pounding on him. A circle is formed around them. So now they're fighting in formation. It's nothing like you see in a movie, right? It's chaos. Everything is going nuts. I have people slamming doors and boards at me. As a matter of fact, one of the guys had a shirt open, tattoos, and he had ripped off a 2x4 from the side of the fence I knew that because it still had the nails sticking out. So he had just ripped it off, and he had his hands kind of like this straddled around it like a crucifix. He took it, swung at me. I did an upper block. I hit him. That was the only hit I got in the whole rest of the fight. And, it's a real surreal experience because when you experience fight or flight, life and death in that moment, something very interesting happens that I felt like I went into the Matrix. Everything slowed down. In this most chaotic situation I've ever been in, everything slowed down. I just didn't know what to do. So the rest of the time, I'm being chased around by 10 guys. It looks more like a rugby match around cars than in a fight that you would think. This goes on for a few minutes, get hit a couple of times. I'm just running because, the instant it happens, you have to go through fight or flight. Do I run or do I stay? But that's my roommate, so you make the decision to stay. And this is going on. They're beating on him. And it was serendipitous. It was a divine act that the two guys that they were looking for happened to walk by at that time. And as they did, they're like, hey, they're over there. And they just forgot about us, switched over to those guys. I dragged my buddy off. And then somebody had called the cops. There's a long road about 2 miles up at the top of the hill. We were down at the beach. You could see the lights. And then as they're starting to get away, I'm trying to come back. I'm a little fuzzy, see if I could read a license plate. And then at that moment, the driver steps out. I still remember, white Escalade, gray jumpsuit, and he pulls up his pants like this and his hand goes down. I just turn on and run. Mm-hmm. And I hear 2 shots. I don't know if they were fired at me or they fired in the air. I wasn't about to find out. I run. And that day really changed my life.
I mean, if your life was a screenplay, that's a critical scene. Isn't it? That's a critical scene in terms of how you thought about things after that moment.
This is around 2000, 2001. And I'm studying to be a computer electrical engineer. The only thing in my mind, and I hated that. The only reason I was doing that was because I said, hey, I'm going to make money. I'm going to get part of the SiliconValley.com boom. I'm going to get a sports car. I'm going to get a big ass house. I'm going to get stock options. I'm going to make millions of dollars. That's all I was driven by. And then it made me start to question that, it's like, what's going on? And then I was so angry. I was so full of shame, that I'm supposed to be this martial artist. I got my ass kicked and didn't know what to do. I couldn't defend my friend. You feel less than a man. And all these things start going through. And I was so angry. And in that anger, I'm like, all right, this is never going to happen again. I said, I'm going to look up the baddest men on the planet and go learn from them. So I was like, who would I look up? I'm going to look up the guys who train the Navy SEALs and the Secret Service and those kinds of people because, hey, they're in it for real. And so then I found some teachers, and that led me into Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. Mm-hmm. At the same time, now you're going to laugh, all right? This is where it starts to get really kind of crazy, and I can laugh at myself now. But at that time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to touch people and kill them. I'm going to learn the death. That's how angry I was and twisted I was, right? I said, but who's going to teach me that? So I get all these books on it, and they're all lined up with Chinese meridians and acupuncture points. Hey, I'm an engineer, so I say, well, I'll join a medical Qigong course for 4 years, and I'll reverse engineer how to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's when I met my Tai Chi master. And, there's a chapter in my book, it's called From the Death Touch to the Healing Hand. And eventually, you learn to let go, you learn to forgive, and you start to understand why things happen to you. And I found that those attackers that I was holding so much anger against were actually the greatest blessing from the universe to get me away from just superficial world and possessions and things like that to who am I really and what am I supposed to do? And it's a path of teaching people and getting encouraged, confidence, and clarity. And then that kind of kicked off my whole journey into the Bruce Lee side, the philosophy, the Tai-Chi side, the internal martial arts, the medicine, the healing, the idea of, what is the real warrior's way and how can I help other people get out of their minds, get into the moment, make themselves strong physically, build courage and confidence and clarity. I always tell people I'm in the business of courage, confidence, and clarity. I'm not in the business of martial arts. I'm not in the business of fitness. The vehicle we use is martial arts and meditation, fitness, and programs like the A12. And we want to develop people into the total version of the best version they can be, because you need to be strong because that's your vehicle that you go through life. Yeah. I don't want to go through life weak and in pain. I want to be strong as possible. To be strong means you're in coordination with nature. That's what nature designed us to be, because when you're strong, you feel good. Why? Because in nature, if I wasn't strong, I'm the first one to die. Mm-hmm. So the body knows that, right? And then courage part, knowing how to defend yourself and knowing how to deal with danger and fear and anger and frustration and these emotions, especially in a chaotic environment. The ability to have stillness in chaos is a superpower, and you learn that through martial arts, and then it's applied everywhere, because the real fight, let's be honest, is 24/7, 365 right in here and in the world, right? Yeah. And then have the clarity of the mind to get out of the thoughts, to get out of your way, the stories you tell yourself, the person who you think you are, the limitations you put upon yourself, so that you can learn to honestly express yourself, and know who you truly are. Sun Tzu says, know yourself and know your enemy, and you're sure to succeed. Know yourself, don't know your enemy 50-50. Don't know yourself, don't know your enemy, you're doomed to fail. But the most important part is that know yourself. Like, who are you? So then when shit hits the fan, when everything gets crazy around you, you have an anchor. And that comes from having a clarity of mind and an understanding of your strengths, your weaknesses, how you deal with opportunities, how you deal with threats. That really becomes who you are, And once you know who you are, you start to work that vehicle, and you start to realize that really everything's about serving. Serve yourself, then your family, then serve other people. And now you're like in line with the divine, In a short Reader's Digest version, martial arts and fitness and mindset is kind of what I do. I teach martial arts all over the world. I help train trainers. I'm in the train-the-trainer business mostly. Mm-hmm. I work with companies like Black Belt Magazine and Century Martial Arts and Martial Arts Industry Association, where I teach teachers. I also speak. One of the major things I do is I speak for companies and corporations and leadership seminars on mindset and how to make yourself comfortable in uncomfortable situations, leadership principles and processes that allow people to build relationship-based leadership. So how do you lead people through? How do you use the ancient concepts from the Art of War and Miyamoto Musashi, Goten no Sho, and Taoist philosophy to understand who you are, understand who your teammate is? How do you connect together? And most importantly, how do you make yourself comfortable in a stressful situation? How do you prepare for the stress? How do you deal for the stress when it happens? And then how do you let go of the stress so you don't bring it home, right? We know many successful people don't have really good family lives. They can't really connect to people because they're so single point focused. And then they miss all the beautiful part of life. So my job and goal and mission is to help empower people to get out of their minds, get into their bodies, clear themselves so they can be the best version of themselves, live in the high performance zone where creativity, connectivity, and adaptability are available to them. So they can be great human beings, they can serve themselves, they can be healthy for their families, healthy for themselves. And most importantly, when all those are in line, you'll be successful in whatever you do. Success comes from all these pieces together. You can train your mind, you can train your body, you can train your spirit, and you can train your craft. Everybody gets caught up in training the craft. So whether you're an athlete, a musician, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, they're salesperson, they're masters of their craft. I don't know how to be a better salesperson. I don't know how to make you a better doctor. You already know that piece. Mm-hmm. I come in on these three, where I tell you how to train your mind, I train you how to train the body and the spirit, because as the saying goes, man, the living being, the creating individual is far more important than any style or system. So the person taking part in the event is more important than the event. So if we can bring a better version of the person to the event, then they'll be much better at their craft. So that's kind of what I helped them with in how to achieve performance and success. Because at the end of the day, the next thing about success is it's not a destination. Success is a process. It's a constant process of looking at yourself, reinventing yourself, and growing and changing. So success is changing in the process and adapting to your environment and constantly doing it. So the principle is constancy, where constancy over time equals a result. Instead of consistency, because constancy is the sun comes out every day. That's constancy. Consistency means sun comes out maybe for 3 weeks or 3 months, and all of a sudden it stops. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, it's constancy, and that success is a journey, and it's never a destination. Because once you reach the destination, what are you going to do? You think that then you, like a growing river, a moving river becomes stale. It doesn't move anymore, and you've reached it, and now what? You know.
What was it that sort of appealed to you about the A12?
Well, I had heard about it through the grapevine, and then in the beginning I thought it was just an aesthetic program. But Coach David Whitley, who's one of my RKC instructors, I saw him rave about it and go all the way over to Ireland to train with you guys. Yeah, I was like, wait, there's got to be more to this if Whitley's involved, right? And so I started to really look into it a little bit more. I looked into Paul, and I was like, oh man, look at this guy. He's an athlete, okay? He boxed at a high level, a combat athlete, so we share that martial arts side. Then the next thing I noticed, he was RKC certified and, strong first now, but he was into the kettlebells, and he's helping people become stronger, and he's working with a lot of athletes. So I was like, okay, so there's got to be more to this program. And so literally I sat down with Whitley and asked him about it. And he really kind of explained to me more of the details. And I looked up Paul more, and I understood that it was not just an aesthetic program, that obviously when we market things and we sell things to the general public, they don't know what strength is. So in the strength community, like you and I, we know that strength is a skill, it's a foundation, what leads us. But to the general population that's never tasted strength, they're coming from, they want to look good. And so the fact that that was a result there, and then from a business perspective too. So I was very intrigued. I was like, okay, if there's a program that creates these aesthetics and makes people super strong, hidden at the same time, so that they'll help achieve and become the better version of themselves. And there's also a marketing machine and an engine, because, we got to run a successful business to be able to do this. It sounded like a fantastic opportunity. So I think I called you, and we talked about it, did my interview, and we got in. And then when I attended the event, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, because I think Paul needs to be out there even more. So a lot of people who haven't heard of Paul McElroy, and you haven't heard him talk or speak, he's a very passionate individual that loves what he does, and he's focused on the gift of strength and really using strength as a avenue to find out who you are. And so we're very common in that side, and that was it, man. That was the start, and I'm really glad and honored to be a part of the A12 family.
What did you think when you saw Paul speaking on the material and the information, and how he looked at taking someone from where they are now and building a plan?
Not to take away from the totality of Paul, because you got to meet this guy to understand all the genius within him. But if there was one thing that if I would tell people, he's a master of programming. And I come from an engineering background. So if you understand that how you have to build a program, you have to build the progressions, you have to build the step-by-step, you have to analyze it, you have to tweak it. It's a scientific process. So I think that oftentimes in training, the scientific process of evaluating somebody, giving them the progressions that are necessary, and then tweaking it to the individual, because you can't do it the same for everybody, because everybody's a little different. You might have an athlete, a martial artist, you might have somebody who's really older, you might have a house mom, you have all these different people, and take them on this journey step by step. That's actually very calculated. I think if you look at success in any realm, there's a plan, and success comes from executing the steps every single day, tweaking the result, and then continuing the progress forward. Oftentimes what ends up happening is that if people are in the training business, and all the fitness folks out there that are listening to us are considering this, is that what are the results your clients are getting? And the results your clients are getting comes down to the scientific process of their progression. Are they getting stronger? Are they getting greater range of movement? Are they improving? And if they're not, and they're plateauing and literally doing the same thing, and if you don't have a graph to show you the result, then they're going like this. And if they're going like this, that's the whole point should be that they're constant. Maybe they go here, they go here, they go here, but they have to be growing. They have to be changing. And how do we make that happen? And I think Paul's program, it's called Amazing 12 weeks to have this transformation, because transformation is what it's about, right? People come into fitness, and let's say there's different kinds of people that are, that would maybe come to your program. But for most fitness professionals out there, the people that they're really working with, their majority of clients, are looking for a change. They're looking for a transformation. Most people you see that go to the gym, right, they look the same. Mm-hmm. They're just maintaining, right, or whatever it is, or they're degrading, or they're saying, oh, I used to be able to do this, and now I'll just do this to maintain. And they do the same thing over and over again, and they look exactly the same, and that's just wasting time. And so I think the fact of time also being on the side that's saying, hey, in 12 weeks, you're going to transform yourself, because everybody's coming for transformation. Let's be honest. Why does somebody hire a fitness trainer? Unless they're a professional athlete or it's part of their profession, that's a different group of people. But for most people, their businesses aren't run by people who are professional athletes, or people who are movers, or people who are celebrities, people who need to look a certain way and perform a certain way for their business. Most of their people that are coming in are looking for a change. They're looking for a transformation. So you're selling them a transformation. What's behind that transformation is how they feel about themselves. That's really what's behind that transformation. Look good, feel good. That's true. That's true. But what ends up happening is that's what gets them in the door. But once they're in the door, and now they're introduced to becoming stronger, the feeling of becoming, because how can you sell being strong?
Yeah.
It's like, right? It's like telling somebody, this is the feeling of being wet, but they've never been in water before. They couldn't understand it. So you can't sell that to somebody who's never tasted it. But now they've come in because they want a transformation, and they see, okay, 12 weeks from now, I'm going to look this way. And you have thousands of people that have proved this. And this is a legit program, because you see what's sold on TV, what's sold in the magazines is all a bunch of BS, because they're promising you a quick fix. Hey, take these pills. Do this celebrity workout. In 3 weeks, you're going to look like this. And come on, the consumer is smart. They know that's the same gab all over the place, and it's not going to yield a result. With A12, you put in the work. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. But once you do it, you know that after 12 weeks, with thousands of the proof in the pudding is the thousands of transformations that have happened, people going from before to after, every kind of body type, every kind of age group. And the fact that this programming is there, it gives the client confidence that in a start and an end period, I will see this crazy change. Now that's what gets them in the door. But once they're in the door, now they meet this new friend called strength. Mm-hmm. And the strength is far greater than what you look like, because that's the result. But now every day you're walking around, your posture changes, the way you feel changes. You like pick up your kid, throw him in the air. You feel like you can run and sprint, and you have more energy at work. You have more time for your family. Like everything kind of changes. And strength is that, that magical little gift that you get. And now they're introduced to it, and then they're hooked for life. You've transformed them, hooked them on. Mm-hmm. If you were going to say there's a drug that's the best drug you could hook them on, is strength, and now they're hooked. And I think it's a phenomenal program that way. That there's a start and an end. There's a programming that takes people. They get the aesthetic look that they're looking for. They look better than they've ever looked in their lives. But more importantly, on the inside, they feel better than they've ever felt in their lives, because now they're strong, man. Once you're strong and you've tasted strong, you can't go wrong.
So someone comes in and says, I need to lose a bit of weight, but really he wants the energy to play with his kids.
Yes.
Or he doesn't feel good about how he looks, and that affects the people around him, his family, his friends. I mean, if you can fix that, you can make such a difference in the world. And if you can do it, and those ripples will just go out. I mean, you must have experienced this with martial arts.
Absolutely. Confidence, right? Confidence is inside out. But sometimes if you haven't experienced, you can go outside in too.
True. Yeah.
Right? You can go outside in, because the physical body, when you start getting stronger, when people start getting stronger, I mean, there's a natural thing that happens there, because in nature, it's only the strong survive. So in our programming, in our mind, something changes, because now you're getting stronger. So now you're more in accordance with survival aspects of fight and flight from nature. And so you can't help but feel better, because the strongest person in the village is going to last the longest. It's the one that's going to run away from the lion. The weak guy is going to get first. The strongest person is the one that can defend their families. So, you know, from a chemical part of your brain, I mean, we're not too far removed from that era. It's only a few hundred years, maybe even 100 years ago, being strong was directly linked to survival. So, you know, and then there comes your confidence. So it's directly related, you know, to the strength and feeling strong. And I'm a big proponent of that. And then the other thing that happens too, when you're training, your mind also goes still, right? Because most people, you don't need to, you know, I'm a big proponent of meditating and quieting the mind, but there's different kinds of quieting the mind. You can quiet the mind, stillness and stillness, or you can do stillness and movement, or you can do stillness and movement and chaos. Mm-hmm. So stillness and movement, you're lifting weights. Your mind is still. It's a focus. It's like a moving meditation. It's a physical meditation, because your focal point is the technique, the strength. So oftentimes people don't understand what meditation means. Meditation really means tasking the mind with one thing, mm-hmm. as opposed to letting the myriad of thousands of things come into your mind. So when you're focused on a lift, you're focused on the technique, you're learning to direct the mind, and everything else stops outside of you. So you're also getting therapy for the mind, because these days, man, we live in this kind of a world, and we're always worried about what other people think. And it's good to just focus in, zone in on something, and you get a lot of more benefits that way. You get clarity from it.
A lot of the philosophy that Paul has on the A12 is about this kind of concept people have in their head about, I want to change into something new. And he's got the counter idea of, I'm not, through the A12 and through training, we're not changing you into something new. We're changing you more into what you were supposed to be in the first place. Because as a species, we are veering very far away from what we actually are within our own blood, our own bones, our own DNA. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. I mean, the transformation is getting rid of all the damage you've done to yourself from the start. Yeah. You know, the thing is that you work really hard to get to where you are right now. So wherever you are right now, if you're not feeling good and you're not feeling strong, you worked hard to get there. You did everything to put yourself there. So now it's really putting you back to the way nature intended you to be, which is be able to freely move and be strong to do anything. You should be able to like climb anything if you see it, jump over anything, run as fast as possible, pick up anything. These are just fundamental human movement laws. Yeah. And then that's what you were designed to do. But because of maybe lifestyle choices and circumstances that have come up, you can't anymore. So as you go back to what your original design was, you're obviously going to feel great, because it's what's meant to be. We're meant to succeed. It's just the environment, the world we live in today has taken us away from those ideas.
Why do you do what you do? What is in your heart that has you on this path?
My heart is to serve people. I want them to find the best version of themselves. I'm looking for those people that are ready for that journey, right? And I'll guide you on the journey. I'm going to point you to the way. I'm not going to do the journey for you. So that's my goal, is to help teach you how to fish and not give you a fish every day. And that's the most important thing to me. And it's to serve people to find the best version of themselves, physically, mentally, and then ultimately spirit. And the spirit really is defined as the thoughts of the mind and the feelings of the heart. So if your mind is quiet and you feel great, you feel happy, then now you're going to have more people out in the world that are going to walk around stronger, clear, and ready to help and spread the happiness, right? And happiness starts from within. And happiness, first and foremost, starts from understanding who they are. And who you are comes down to what's your physical, what's your mindset like, how do you deal with stress and things of that nature. And then the spirit in your heart. How do you feel, man? Are you happy, or are you angry? Are you frustrated? If you walk around happy, that's the most important thing. And what's happiness? It's relative. Can you make yourself happy in a shitty situation? Happy doesn't mean be happy just like all the time. That doesn't make any sense. But you have the ability, when things aren't going so well, to make yourself happy in the storm and the chaos. And that's really the skill that I think why we really do things of this nature. And for me personally, is through these modalities of martial arts and mindset, meditation, and the physical part of it, of making yourself as strong as possible, being a great mover, that you get to understand yourself. And that's, I want you to know who you are. If you know who you are, then you know your gifts and your talents, then you can go out and serve other people in the world. And that's how we build an army of warriors of light.
What are you up to at the moment, or what do you got coming up?
I've teamed up with Black Belt Magazine and Century Martial Arts, and we are about to launch something. It's called Black Belt University, and it's a Master of Martial Arts program, and pretty much it's designed for martial arts school owners to come and build and get curriculums so that they can help them with black belt retention. Because oftentimes what happens in martial arts, people think they get a black belt and then they quit. But our goal is to say, okay, once you get a black belt in a particular discipline, how do you continue to grow from there? That the idea really of a black belt is that once you get it, it means now you qualify for the teachings at a higher level. So we want to institute a program that allows you to, much like a university, achieve a degree in mastery across all arts. So if you're a boxer, a jiu-jitsu specialist, or a taekwondo, or a kickboxer, or a karate person, you understand your area, but what about understanding the other areas and the ranges of combat, the punching, the kicking, the trapping, the stand-up and ground grappling, weapons, then mindset and philosophy and leadership and the history of martial arts and how to teach and how to run a business. All those things are important, and that's kind of what we're looking to do in Black Belt University, provide rotating curriculums for Black Belt retention to help school owners grow their businesses, grow their martial arts potential, and turn a hobby into a lifestyle. On the other side, my book, Mind Boxing, How to Win the War Within, is going to be released in 2020. I'm also doing a lot of speaking for companies and corporations. So between that and the speaking, and then also most important that I must tell everybody is that as you chase your dreams and your successes, you always got to come back to yourself and continue your self-growth. I think that's something very important, that time for you has to be made so that you grow, because you're the person that's executing in all these different things. You need to be a better version of yourself for not only your business, but for your family, for people around you. And so always come back and invest back in yourself. That's why another reason why I did the 812, to invest back in myself and my own knowledge and my growth. Mm-hmm. And I'm studying now to be a doctor of medical Qigong, to become a healer. That's my next path. I'm going to be ordained as a Taoist priest to serve from China in November. So the whole idea becomes, how do we manage giving time to yourself for constant growth, focusing on your businesses, focusing on your family, and then once you have that intact, how can you focus on serving other people? And so that's kind of what I'm up to, man, trying to balance and juggle these things and adapt and change.
Where's the best place to find out about what you're up to?
They could go to Sifu Singh, SIFUSINGH.com, and they could go to mindboxing.com. And also I have a program for men. It's called The Masterful Man. And The Masterful Man is all about developing and becoming into the ultimate man you could be, which is you're strong, you can fight, you can kick ass, but you also can love with a full heart. And how you can build better relationships with your family, and then kick ass and take names in your business. So if you're interested in any of those things, you can check out those websites. And if I can serve you, I'd be more than happy to.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been absolutely terrific. Great to catch up with you again. And we'll be speaking to you soon.
Absolutely, man. And to anybody out there that is thinking about A12, definitely call Dwayne, call Paul, get on board. If you have questions, you can reach out to me, and I can help you as well with my experience. I think it's a wonderful program. It's a wonderful platform, and it's a great idea. But also from a business perspective, I think that it can definitely help you with your business to generate income and help people at the same time. So God bless everybody, and see you next time.